Hey everyone, Grant K for the Flame Learning channel. In this video series, we're going to go through a high-level overview of the updated color management in the Flame 2017 Extension 1 products. We'll start off by covering a few of the new features, and later on in the series, we'll run through a few color managed scenarios to give you a sense of how it works. Due to the wide variety of color science workflows, it's impossible to cover every situation. But please watch these videos and read the color management documentation to give you a good start to color managing your projects in Flame. Now let's start off with discussing what has changed in the Flame 2017 Extension 1 products. The underlying theme is that Flame has moved from passive color management to active color management. What does this mean to you as an artist? Well, for starters, all your clips are always tagged with a color space. This is done when you import media as well as generating any media. The color space tagging is maintained throughout the Flame pipeline, so all color management is respected on import, editorial, VFX, and even at the media management level. You can export, wire, and even archive, and still retain all your color management metadata. So all your clips are actively color managed from the moment they enter into Flame until the point you get them out. And now that Flame is aware of each clip's color space, the viewports and monitors automatically adapt to show you the correct colors based on the tagged color space. I'd also like to mention that even the thumbnails now use the color management to correctly display the media. Although Sparks and the Stabilizer do benefit from the new color management, please be advised that some of the older modules, such as Desktop Paint and Text, are currently not color managed, but the team is aware of this. Now obviously the viewports will need to be configured to match the color pipeline in your facility. But once it's up and running, you spend a great deal of time on creativity and less time worrying if you're seeing the correct colors. The active viewports and viewing rules will be covered in an upcoming video. The other part of active color management deals with combining multiple sources. For instance, whether the media is camera-based or CGI, there is the requirement to convert color spaces into a common one in order to correctly blend images together. A lot of work has been done to the color management tools to automate these conversions, as well as maintain the best color management practices for the auto conversions. These tools are available in every aspect of Flame, and you will see them in use throughout the series. Finally, Flame color management has been designed to accommodate multiple working practices. For example, you could import and convert all your media into one common color space. Or you could import your media in its native color space and convert where required. The choice is up to you, but the color management framework is based on an expandable architecture, which is already able to accommodate other standards including HDR. So let's see what's involved in the Flame color management. It all starts from the project creation, where you can define your color management. Create a new project and look at the project settings. You set your project settings up as you normally do, and using this pull-down menu, you set the color policy for your project. The color policy is simply defining the way you work with color in a project. For example, there are 4 color policy presets, and you can build your own to meet any specific requirements. You can also copy them from an existing project, and you can even configure the color policies to be shared across multiple systems. These policies are XML-based, and more advanced Flame artists and facilities can custom code them for standardization. But if you've never used color management, or you are working at a beginner level, these 4 color policies will definitely help you get started. Each color policy includes a set of import rules, viewing rules, and the default working color spaces for the various tools like Batch and Action. So the rules example color policy is an example policy with a wide range of different input and viewing rules for you to experiment with. The ASUS 1.0 color policy is an example of configuring a project solely for an ASUS workflow. The simple linear workflow is a policy that configures the project for a basic degamma and regamma type workflow. This is also very useful for projects that are mostly using Rec. 709 source materials rather than camera log or RAW. Finally, we have the Flame Legacy color policy. This color policy is for users who do not wish to use the new color management features. The viewports will emulate the behaviors from the previous versions, and media will be tagged as unknown. This policy will also be used for legacy projects so that everything will look the same if you restored an old project. The Flame Legacy color policy is the default choice when creating a project, because you can choose whether you want to color manage your project or not, and you need to explicitly tell Flame how you are going to work. This should allow you to ease into the world of color management and learn at your own pace. Now let's create a project with a color policy preset and examine the implications of enabling the color management tools. Select the Rules Example Demo Policy and set up your project settings. Now let's create the project and start Flame. So this is a brand new project, and I'd like you to go to the Preferences menu. Select the Color Management tab. All the information from the XML color policy has adjusted the various settings, as well as added the various rules for color management. So starting on the left, you have the default working color space for the project. With this example color policy preset, the project working color space is defined as ASUS CG. Note that Action also has its own default working color space, and that is also set to ASUS CG. Now the Monitors section, which contains your viewing devices, is not affected by the color policy. In fact, the viewing devices are workstation specific and not project specific. This is because you can attach so many different devices to a given workstation or a given project on many different workstations, and each one can have its own monitor configuration. For example, a standard broadcast monitor will show colors as Rec. 709, and your graphics monitor will show the colors through sRGB. There are a whole variety of color transforms you can select for various devices so that the colors can be correctly interpreted by the displays. If you're using the Flame products on the Mac platform, you will also get an extra option to sync the graphics display using the ICC display profile, which is configured via the OS system preferences. Now to the right of the preferences, you will see a set of tabs defining your input rules, your viewing rules, and the viewer diagnostics. In short, the input rules determine what color space to apply to the incoming media, depending on their file extension and specific naming patterns. The viewing rules allow you to set the appropriate viewing transforms and displays based on a tagged color space. For example, if the media is tagged as Scene Linear or Log, a variety of ASUS and linear viewing transforms will be made available to the active viewports. And depending on the viewing transform you choose, will also determine which displays can be allowed to display the image. You'll see how both sets of rules work when you go through the color management workflow videos. Finally, there is the Diagnostics tab. Here you can set exposure, gamma, and contrast values on a keyboard shortcut that allows you to toggle these values on and off over an image. You would typically use this to examine darker or brighter image detail without making any permanent adjustments to the media. Now you can make your own import rules and viewing rules directly in the application. And if you have configured the color management to exactly what you want, you can export your own color policies to use on this workstation or share across the facility. As I said, the color policies are XML based, so it makes them highly portable and facility friendly. The color policies are completely scalable in the context of Flame. In other words, you could be working on a single flame and performing your own color management within the application. Or it could be scaled up to a massive facility where the color policies are managed at the facility level through Python, ensuring all systems maintain the same color managed pipeline. So hopefully this has given you a great starting point of what to expect with the active color management in Flame 2017 Extension 1. In the next video, you learn about color managing and tagging your media as it is imported. Comments, feedback, and suggestions are always welcome and appreciated. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the Flame Learning channel for future videos.